I'm on a juice cleanse. It's a struggle.
Just hold on.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Alicia. I am doing this non-scripted, so it's gonna be a little bit rough. But I wanted to talk about my SoulCalibur journey. I am not gonna do retakes. I'm not gonna restart anything. And I'm gonna look around everywhere but the camera a lot of the time because I am not used to doing this, oddly enough. You think after casting this much I would get used to it, but normally I'm like looking at a monitor, so I don't really have to look at the camera directly that often. You know, maybe like 30 seconds at a time. So we're gonna try to adjust to that. I guess I wanted to make this video for a few reasons. I guess the significant one, like the main reason why I kind of decided to sit down here and do this in the first place was that SoulCalibur changed my life, and it's been so emotional to go through all of this. And I mean, like, the utterly best. I'm crying already. Jesus, we thought this would be later on. Nope, it's right at the start. This is what happens when you don't write a script and don't think about what you're going to talk about. I just turned on my camera and decided to do this because it means a lot to me. So here we go. I grew up playing SoulCalibur, as a lot of you probably know. If you don't, then here's a little bit of the backstory. I grew up in a place called Nova Scotia. Middle of nowheres. It is so East Coast, it has its own time zone. We aren't East Coast time. We're Atlantic time. That's how middle of nowheres it is. Y'all don't know East Coast like Nova Scotia knows East Coast, okay? Like, it's pretty brutal. So I didn't really get to go anywheres, and my family didn't really have money, so it's not like I could have been flown out or gone to like any tournaments ever. Even in our local area, we didn't really have much of a scene or have anything. What we did have was arcades, though. Really, really outdated arcades. Like, these arcades would have machines that were like at least a decade old, and it was amazing because it taught me so much about what community meant. And yeah, esports is incredible, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. But to grow up in that environment is something that I'll always hold dear to my heart. When I was a kid, I was not allowed to actually like go out and hang out in these arcades and stuff because I was a very sheltered child. I was very studies oriented, I was sports oriented, and I was music oriented. So my parents were like, you gotta keep your focus, you gotta build up your career, build up your life now so you can gain scholarships and have a good future. Brilliant plan. Except for the fact that I was such a nerd. Like, I really wanted to go out and play some video games. I didn't want to go drinking. I didn't want to go do other stuff. I was just a kid. I just wanted to go play some video games. And I actually had restricted times on being able to play. I could only play for 1 hour every week. That was it. And that was only if I did there was like literally like a list that I had to go through. So like, y'all got allowances, I got to play video games for an hour. That's kind of how it worked. So video games was always a privilege. It was never something that I could just kind of do. So when it came to this point of my life and getting to where I am now, I couldn't even, it's something that's unfathomable to me. I just never had the notion that you could do something that you love, that you could help support people and bring them in to do what they love too. And yeah, that's kind of like the baseline. So arcade days, basically, growing up in Nova Scotia, I didn't even grow up in the main city. I didn't even grow up in the capital. I grew up in Dartmouth, and I went to university in Halifax. But I grew up in Dartmouth, so there was one arcade. Eventually it was renamed Sparkles, and it closed down. But Sparkles was lit. It had Tekken 5, and that was where I played. It's probably the game I played the most when it came to in my area. But if I took a 45-minute bus ride over into Halifax, I could go play SoulCalibur. Not any SoulCalibur, the first one. I played Soul Blade in the arcade. Because there's these old heads these old ass big dudes who were drinking beers and smoking, because you were able to still do this then in these arcades. And we'd all be like grouped together at these machines playing each other. And I was like, originally I started off just kind of being scrappy and just like really wanting to play with like literally just a pocket of quarters. It was the only quarter arcade at the time because I am very young. So what happened was eventually they went to the token system at a lot of arcades. This place never did. It stayed with quarters because a lot of their machines were too old to handle anything else but quarters. So I went there a lot of the time, a lot more cheaper. So a lot more time to get there, but a lot cheaper. So I went out there and I would play my heart out. And when I ran out of quarters, since the guys didn't want to be creepy and give me money to go play more games, because that would be pretty sus if my parents found out this was happening, they would leave it inside of these ashtrays that were empty, a bunch of quarters, and they would like have my name on a note, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's not mine," and then they're just like, "Oh, but it has your name on it, Alicia. You should just take it." I'm like, "Oh no, but it's not. It's not mine, so I can't do that." Like, just no social awareness whatsoever of what was happening for me. I grew up in that, and that sort of enthusiasm and love is all I wanted to give back to people. And I never really got a chance to when I was still back in Nova Scotia, when I was still back there. SoulCalibur VI came out, SoulCalibur V came out. I was in university and I was working 3 jobs. I was going to university as a full-time student. And on top of that, my sister got extremely, extremely ill. She had double kidney failure, and I don't really talk about this often, but she had double kidney failure, and I just dropped everything in my life. I dropped my friends. I dropped like everything. The only thing I hung on to was school and work. And life looked like it was going to close off for me. Opportunities looked like it was going to close off for me. I thought about my life, and my parents own a restaurant, and I realized, you know what? I don't want to be away from my family. I don't want to do anything else except for be with my family. And especially when you have a health scare like that. My dad already battled cancer, and everything was just so unstable. And I didn't want to leave them. But it was my sister and my dad. Actually, my dad not so much, but my sister for sure, Katie, who sat me down one day in a Boston Pizza. And this was a while back while I was in my second year of university, I think was the time. I didn't fully commit then. I committed like about a year later, but her and I were sitting in a Boston Pizza, and she was like, "What do you want to do? Like, what's up with you, right? Like, you're doing obviously psych and English, but what do you want to do with your life?" And I wanted to go to film school, and she supported me so much that even with everything that happened, she helped give me the strength to come out to Toronto. And my dad, being the light of my life, also was 100% like, "Yeah, kid, you're the smartest kid I know. Like, you have worked so hard your entire life. Even if this doesn't work out, you have education to fall back on. You're fine. Like, live your life. You're super young." Right? And I moved out to Toronto. So that's where I am now. Did the film school thing, went through my life. But while in film school, I got a job as a producer for a while, which was crazy. It was crazy because I also was doing like short film directing, short film producing for like film school itself. But outside of school, I was also producing, so I was like drained. And then I actually had a health issue come up where I lost my voice, which was like the craziest concept to me because I actually was quiet to a degree prior, which was also a weird concept. Yeah, I lost my voice for about half a year, which my poor film teachers had to deal with, and my peers. Which I remember I would get so frustrated. Sometimes I would throw notepads at people to like make sure they read what I was trying to say. But, you know, God bless them. They were all so incredible towards me. And even my job, when I lost my voice, I just mounted myself in paperwork instead. And people were good. people were so good to me. And I'm just so thankful for all those experiences. And the reason why I'm bringing all this stuff leading up into more SoulCalibur, is because it taught me that no matter what career I was in, I wanted to be the person that supported people. That I wanted to be somebody who supported others in their passions the way those old men in those arcades, when I was 8 years old, supported me. I wanted that. So here I was in Toronto, and I decided to go to my first locals. And I just got my voice back. I was just kind of getting my life back together. And I was so nervous. My first locals is actually a fun story, so we'll sidetrack to my first locals a little bit. First locals, I'm going there to play some Tekken 7. Yeah, Tekken 7 was out at this time. This is not that long ago. This was just like 2-3 years ago. It's not that... 2 years ago, I think, actually. Yeah, so I go out there for my first locals in Toronto. I guess there was 2 locals I went to technically back in Nova Scotia, but they were in the back of a game store in like a little closed off area with one PS station. But like it's not really like these elaborate locals now. But yeah, I actually went there during a work break because there was a guy I liked and he went there. So and he wasn't there the time I went there, which sucked. But anyways, back to the main point. So Toronto at locals. I was messaging people in the Tekken group because I got invited by one of the players in Toronto, Mishamized, and they were like, yeah, come on out. And then one of them messaged me separately. His name's Joel. He was like, hey, like, I was like, dude, I'm so nervous. Like, I'm nervous about coming out there. I don't know anybody. Like, I don't want to be like the loner and like just kind of be overwhelmed, right? And he's like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, just come on out. I'll be there for you. I'll come out this week too. I'll be there. And we'll just pretend we've known each other this entire time, okay? We'll be like 100% as if we've known each other this entire time. I'll come up, I'll hug you, we'll be good. And he did exactly that. I walked in. He came in late though. How could you do that to me? I was nervous. So I get there way too early, right? Because I was so excited. And I walk up and I see amazing people. I see like Enrek, who I got to play online before, and he's like, "Oh, Alicia, I know who you are." And I saw like Papadon, and I met Foxfist then, and I saw like just so many amazing people, and of course Russell, who is this wonderful person, a wonderful one coordinator player, and just awesome dude. And these people were so welcoming towards me, and I couldn't believe that I got to have that same feeling that I had back when I was in home when I was 8 years old happen to me all over again in my life. I thought that part of my life was over. I didn't think that it would happen again, and it did. And it warmed my heart. And yeah, there's always like there's always drama. There's always drama in every local scene. But my first experience playing in this locals was there's actually this one guy, really sweet guy, by the way. Now he means so well. During this time though, holy hell, he was mortifying. So I go down to play my tournament game against him, and then he goes, "Oh, you play Eddie, right? Like, want a mirror match?" This is actually when I made Nina, and I was switching over to Eddie. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Like, okay. So you mirror match on Eddie, and I beat him on Forgotten Realm, which is like the most soul-crushing way to lose against an Eddie player, because like he just takes you down all the way, right? And I did that to him, which kind of sucked, because I took him down one floor, took him to the wall, and took him down another floor after that on Oki. But yeah, it sucked. I remember that game so well just because of how crazy it got. So he got so mad, he started hitting himself in his face, right? And I was like, and I look over, and Papadon's sitting next to me, and he's just playing his match in tournament, looks over, and he's just like, "You good?" And I'm like, I don't think I'm good. Like, just mortified, right? I scoop my chair to the side, I take out my headphones, I put them on, I put music in, and then he starts like cussing. He's like, blah, 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 F-bombs, blah, 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 hitting his face, right? Hitting his stick. And I'm like, oh, this is happening. Oh my god, this is happening. Just totally like out of it. And he loses his next match, but he picks his main, which is Eliza, and he loses that. And he just like takes his stick lifts it up, slams it back on his lap, picks it up, moves his chair to the side, and like just super extra, and storms out. Like just goes out. I think he went outside. Like he was gone. And I just sat there like, okay then. This happened. I don't know what else. What else do you say to that? What do you say to that? So, yeah, that was like my first local. And I actually went to the washroom and I cried after that, by the way. Cried in a bathroom stall. Not really ashamed of that. I was pretty shook. Someone just shrieking and hitting themselves while playing you. And then you still choose to win. Like, that's, right? That's a little scary. So, yeah. Later on, though, really nice guy. After you, like, talk to him and you're like, he's more chilled out. Really nice guy. But yeah, that's like, I had that feeling back in my life. And I started to go to locals every single week. Every week. Now it's harder to. Now I have, like, obviously my company and obviously traveling myself to majors. And it's hard to make it to locals because they happen on Mondays. So I usually fly back in on Mondays. But they know I love them. And they know that I'll always support them. And when I get a chance to, I'll watch their games in the airport while I'm waiting to fly back home. And they just mean the world to me. But yeah, that's where I transitioned. So I started to go to majors, which was like, holy smokes! I couldn't believe I was at a majors. That was even scarier. Like, I'm going to say the word mortifying millions of times because I genuinely like would be nervous and scared out of my mind because I wasn't used to having the privilege of playing a game, which still sounds weird, but every time I was able to play, it was such a privilege to be able to be around people and enjoy stuff. And Toryuken was one of my first majors, and Mac runs up to me. And Joey and I talked online, but like Mac runs up to me and goes, "Yo, what up? Sorry I couldn't bring Cuddle. She really wanted to meet you." And I'm like, "The fuck you doing not bringing Cuddle?" My instant response, internally shrieking, by the way, because I was like, "Oh, we're sassing people and we don't even know them. What are you doing?" But also, little hoodlum me who grew up in Dartmouth in the sketchy ass part of Westfall was also like, "That's how we talk to people, so we'll just hold it." Like, it was a little bit of both. And he was so wonderful to me, and Joey was wonderful to me. And actually, one thing Joey did, I don't even know if he'll remember this, but one thing that he did that stood out to me was everyone was begging to play games with him, right? People were lining up and it was too busy, and he was like, "Hey, Alicia, I do want to play you later though. Like, we'll run a fun set." I'm like, "Yeah, I really want to, right? Like, I told you, like, I wanted to online and blah blah blah." So really excited. So things are wrapping up. It's around like 7 p.m. 8 p.m. and we're still in the venue and people are still lined up to play him. And he goes, "Okay guys, I'm good. I'm gonna wrap it up here." So everyone starts taking off around him. And I was like, oh, I didn't get a chance to, like, I didn't even say I didn't get a chance to play. I was just like, "Oh, cool. We want to go head out. We can go grab a drink or something." And he goes, "Oh no, I wanted to play you." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, now they're gone. Now I can play you." Because he knew that, like, people kept, like, cutting in front of me and, like, taking my turn to play against him next because, not because they're mean or anything, just because I didn't say anything. I was just like, "Oh, they want to play him. That's fine. I'm bad at the game. It's fine. They can play him instead. I don't need to play him," right? Like, they're probably better than me. Like, I just kept discrediting myself over and over again. So that I didn't get a chance to play him. And then he was like, "Yo, dude, come play me." I was like, "Ah, shit." So I got to play him. Got cooked. You know, nothing new against Joey. That happened to me twice now. My next thing that I guess, like, there was also Evo. Evo was incredible. My first Evo. Talk about starry-eyed. That was incredible. I'll talk about, like, those experiences another time. But like my tournament experiences, but I guess like the one that would have really hit was SoulCalibur at Summer Jam. We're almost 20 minutes into this video. This is gonna be like 40 minutes long. How do I go through all this? So Summer Jam, I'm not scripted, so I just didn't know if I wanted to talk about this part or not, but it's like, I just won't use names. I'll use the names of the people who I like, and the people who I don't like, I just won't use the name. How does that sound? I feel like that's pretty fair. So basically, what happened at Summer Jam was that I was playing in SoulCalibur pre-release tournaments, baby! Out here, bringing it back. That's how we do. Like, I was so hyped. So hyped. So I was like, okay, do you know what? we're gonna go play and have a good time. We're gonna play some SoulCalibur V on an emulator on my PC because I don't got my PS3 with me. We're gonna kill it, right? So playing on it, Party Wolf comes into my chat while I'm streaming it, and it's just like, and I'm practicing Natsu actually. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna play some Taki, dude. And I was like, dude, wait, you're in here? Give me Killick tips, anything, right? So he's sending me a bunch of Killick notes through Twitter, and I get to Summer Jam. I do well in Tekken, and I head over to my Caliber, and I am so nervous and so excited to play. People are lined up at stations waiting for a turn to get in. Yeah, we were all lined up at stations. There wasn't that many. There's like 8 in total. Which is still, sorry, it is a lot, but it's hard when no one has a copy of the game yet, so everyone wants to practice. Sorry, 8 is a lot to have. 2 steps back. That was the amazing part about Summer Jam. That wasn't just like 4 consoles, everyone blah. It was like, there was 2 whole tables. Yeah. One issue was that there was like one dude. Oh, I'll get to him in a second actually. I'll talk about the other part that I wasn't going to talk about, but basically I'm talking to one person who randomly walks up to me. He's like, oh, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Like, just being friendly. And I'm like, oh, I'm good. Thanks for asking. And they talk to me about like do I normally come out to tournaments, things like that. I'm like, yeah, I actually play a lot of locals, but like I'm just starting to come out to majors now. Really exciting for me. I'm from Toronto. And this other person overheard that. And after I finished the conversation with this person, he goes, you don't go to locals in Toronto. And I was like, what? Like, doesn't even say hi. The person didn't even say hi to me. Because you don't go to locals in Toronto. Like, we go it every week so I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, are you from there? And he goes, no, I'm from New York, but I go up to their monthlies every time, and you haven't been there. I've never seen you there. And I'm like, well, I am. every weeklies, every monthlies, I'm there. And he's like, yeah, but I don't know you, so clearly you're lying. I'm like, huh. Well, have you been there in the past half a year? He goes, no. I'm like, that would explain it, because I only moved to Toronto like a little while back. So, there you go. And he goes, oh. Okay then, so you're not even like from Toronto, you're new. And I'm like, yep. He goes, huh. Okay then. And he walks away from me. And I was like, oh, people are really mean. What the fuck is this Calibur community? Pardon my language, but what is happening, right? And then the golden light came through and shone through the window, and that was Forwind. Forwind sitting at a station, looking mean as hell, by the way. Resting bitch face for days. This man was looking mean. Okay, he's mean mugging. Sitting at a station alone. People are lined up at other stations to play. No one's even sitting in the chair next to him because he looks so grumpy. Okay? I walk up and I'm like, hey, can I form up against you? Because I gotta play pool soon. And he's like, yeah, no problem. So I sit down and he sees the name on the back of my jersey because I was a sponsored player back then. And he's like, oh, I know you from like Brawl Pros Discord. Yeah, like you, like, yeah, you're Alicia. Like, how's it going? Yeah, you also stream on Twitch, right? I'm like, yeah. And we like get along super well. And he is the most welcoming, warm-hearted, resting bitch face mofo I've met in my life. He is so freaking nice. And he took that one shitty experience, which goes into 2 shitty experiences because it gets worse. Goes from one shitty experience to this. And he pulled my head out of the sand. He was like, listen, you will not be sad. But he didn't even know I was sad. He was just a nice dude. And I was like, damn, this feels amazing to build a friendship like this. Just out of nowhere. It's not even knowing this person, never talking to him online or anything. Right? And then I go play my game. And I'm up against the dude who was really mean to me. And I didn't know Maxi got auto GIs between stances now. Because it was pre-release. And I was like, what? What is happening? I don't know what's going on, but I'm not about this. So I get cooked. I get absolutely mixed. Maxi problems. Especially when you don't know anything about him yet. This guy turns to me and goes, if you don't know the game, you shouldn't be playing it. And I don't know what about that moment that defined me, like, it was like every worst dumb thing that you could ever have imagined someone saying to you happening in one moment, right? Like, yeah, he didn't call me the B word, or he didn't cuss me out, but he just flat out said I didn't belong there just because I lost to him. And he also told me I didn't even belong in my own locals. And he doesn't even live where I am. And instead of clapping back like I should have, I took it. And I was like, oh, well, hopefully I get better. And I walked away. I regret that. I should have chewed him out. I should have done that. And I think me now would have done that. Me back then wouldn't have. Because I was nervous. And I was scared. And not like scared fearful, but scared like I just wanted to make friends. And I didn't want to cause anything. So, fuck you to that guy. Anyway. Still see him at goddamn tournaments too. What the fuck? Anyway. Tracing back. I ended up hanging out with, like, I saw Wind later on, being mad. Usual Wind things. He is mad about something. He lost a game or something. I think he actually won the game. And he was still mad because he didn't win the way he wanted to. Because he tilted like 3 times. So, I don't know. Anyways. All I knew was that he was upset. So I ran up to him. I grabbed him by both shoulders like, listen, okay? Listen here. You are great. You are wonderful. You are talented. You cooked me. You know you're better than everybody else, okay? You're out here putting in that work. Who has the cutest blue eyes? You do. Giving him the weirdest pep talk in the world. But I was the weirdest kid, so it's just kind of how it worked. And then I grabbed his face like this, and I was like, you will be great! And he's just like, you're the best. And he gives me a massive bear hug, and he's like, thank you. And I end up getting eliminated by Oaklesdan's Wrath. I will hold you to that to this day. I didn't even see what Grow did before I got into that match, and then your Grow came out, and I didn't know where I was. I was like, this is Narnia, because this is foreign to me. I don't like this. I didn't see no wardrobe. I didn't see no lion, no witch. Why'd you mix me like this? I don't appreciate that. Anyway, all I know is I got cooked. And then Wind ends up going against him next, and he beats him, and I'm like, avenge me! And I was just rooting for him the entire time. But yeah, that's kind of my first tournament experience with SoulCalibur, was pre-release at Summer Jam. And I guess it gets even more wild would be the fact that later on, actually, only within the past few months, Boom told me, he's like, I knew you were at Summer Jam and I wanted to say hi to you and I saw you, but you were actually hiding behind Mason, and I thought I would scare you if I approached you. So, like, can you imagine that version of me compared to now? Where, like, I was literally hiding behind Mason at tournaments because I was so nervous to meet people. All the way to now where I'm like, what up, young blood? What's poppin'? How you doing, baby? Let's get it going. Like, like, and again, internally, I grew up with that. Like, I grew up with that my entire life because I came from Westfall. I came from a really sketchy ass area that depended on community. We depended on community to strive, right? We had young kids dying in the streets, literally outside of my high school. What else are you gonna do, right? Besides create friendships and bonds with each other. So, yeah, that was Summer Jam. God, no, casting. It's like, I guess it's kind of all comes back to casting, right? I knew I wanted to launch an esports team, an esports company, sorry, for quite a while at that point. But I always told, even my ex at the time too, I told him back then, was that I could totally see myself doing this in 5 years. And I made a 5-year plan of how, when in 5 years, what I was gonna do. And I didn't touch it. And then I was wrapping up in October with my team that I was signed with, and I was gonna leave them. And actually, I knew later, like late September, early October, that I was gonna leave them because I was sitting down with Kenny, my team manager, and he was like, huh, so in 5 years you want to start an esports company? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, huh, let's go grab a drink. we sat in a bar for 11 hours and planned out my entire company in one sitting. And that's how AXL started. It actually also started as a side joke. So AXL obviously stands, like, the original idea was that it stood for Aliciaxlife, right? Come on, Accelerate Gaming, also Aliciaxlife. It made sense, right? Kenny was at Locals, my team manager now, and he was in the middle of playing a league game on one of the computers on the side. And he's like, I really want to register, but I'm in the middle of this game. I was like, oh, no problem. So I paid his registration fee and signed him up. But then I put down AXL as his sponsor tag. And that's the first time AXL was ever used to sponsor a player. And who would have thought that something as small and weird as that would have turned into be this massive thing now. But yeah, sorry. So getting back to Canada Cup. Boom. Pardon me. Say what you will about Canada Cup, but that's what put me on the map. So I'm gonna hold that dear to my heart. Canada Cup was the first time I ever casted Calibur, and when I felt the warmth of the world community coming in clutch, where I felt the warmth of people across seas complimenting me and telling me that I did a great job. Now, there's two main reasons why I got into commentary. One, I wanted to break out of my shell, and I knew that I had, and I know that I sometimes still do, have a hard time talking to people. Seems really weird, but it's true. So I get really insecure when I talk to people, because I'm insecure about my, it's also another weird thing. I guess I'm gonna just open up about it all, because I'm not scripted, so I can say whatever I want. I'm not insecure about my appearance, I'm insecure about my personality, which seems really backwards for most people, but it's how I feel about my life. Very confident, live my life, beautiful brown skin, blah, 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 right? Like, I get it. Yeah, really insecure about my personality. So, that's kind of, what sucks. Yeah, so breaking out of my shell. I knew that I was weird, and I knew that I was passionate. I knew I wanted to learn more about the game. I knew I wanted to take SoulCalibur VI seriously. One, because obviously I wanted to sponsor players in it, because I want to launch my company. And two, I wanted to encourage other people, right? I wanted to encourage the Calibur community, being a new person to it as well, because I grew up in literally the middle of nowhere, right? In the middle of nowhere, which was also too far to connect to New York, well, by the way, for lag. My connection to even other parts of Canada was trash when it came to internet, because I was so far away in Nova Scotia. So it's also a fun fact of playing online. Oof. Terrible Xbox experiences for a lot of those players. I played on Xbox primarily, by the way, for SoulCalibur 4 and 5. And then I played on PS3 for 5 a little bit, but mostly on Xbox, because my sister had the PS3 in her room, and I had my Xbox downstairs, in my parents' house. But yeah, that was sorry. Back to point. So yeah, one obviously being wanted to break out of my shell, wanted to do that. Two was that I wanted to help unify people. Right? I thought that if I did something that made people feel relatable, I showed that it didn't matter that I was like a chubbier person, didn't matter that I was colored, didn't matter that I'm a chick, didn't matter that like all of these things, right? And like, yeah, I'm bi too, like, yeah, so like even my sexual orientation, like none of that matters. None of that matters. We're just here loving video games, right? And like that's what I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring that level of enthusiasm that those people did back from me when I was 8 years old in those arcades. That's what I wanted to bring. And that's why I lose my voice at every tournament. That's why I'm out every time, grinding hard and working on my craft, always trying to improve my commentary, because I believe no matter even if I just cast an Evo top 8, right? There's always room for improvement. There's never, oh, I'm great, I'm done. I've peaked, right? I'm good now. I don't need to work on it. No, I always work on improving. I always work on making sure I get certain parts right. Do I focus on analytics more with certain partners? Do I focus more on like being hype with other partners, right? It's about finding my balance. Do I shut up sometimes, right? Like things like that, right? Where it's all about working through. I just loved Calibur so much. People were so amazing, and I had people tweeting at me throughout the entire time I was casting, being like, "You're so great, you're so funny, oh my god, what? 2 scoops of ice cream, you funny, blah blah blah." Like, it was just so crazy to me. And to feel that and to experience that, because I thought it was the opposite. I thought that the guy who was mean to me at Summer Jam was the standard, and that Fourwind was the exception. That he was just a nice guy, and that everyone else would have been more like the other dude. Because the other dude's a super old head. And it was the opposite. Everyone was more like Fourwind, who was super welcoming and super nice, and tweeting at me and messaging me in my DMs and being like, "Hey, you're doing a great job. I would love to run sets with you. Do you play on PC or PS4? Like, what's going on?" Right? And I made so many friends right away without even having to be in their country yet. And that was incredible. Then I had Bifu Techie, actually, who talked to me after, and he's like, "Alicia, listen, you did a great job, right? Like, and you should come to NEC and cast there, right? Like, I'll take care of you. Come on through." And everyone was telling me, "NEC's the tournament, Alicia. NEC's the tournament. It's like the biggest SoulCalibur. It's the SoulCalibur's version of EVO. It's the biggest caliber tournament of the year. Come out and experience that." And I got to, and it was incredible. It was actually the first tournament I got to have my players perform at. The first one under AXL, where Boom got to play, and to have that sort of experience with Caliber, and to have that, and even to commentate for pools and stuff was so incredible. It was just so amazing. And that carried through into Frosty, and Frosty was amazing too. And Frosty was amazing too. And yeah, like, I had a long ways to go with my commentary, but people were so receptive and so welcoming to me working hard and getting better and improving, that I felt happy. And I was making other people happy, and I wanted to keep doing that. And that's one of the main reasons why I cast, right? It's not just only the fact that, yeah, I want to get top 8s. Like, of course I want to get top 8s, baby. You best believe I do. But, like, it's just the fact that I'm having the privilege to be able to do this is what's amazing to me. The same privilege that I felt when I was a kid. And this is the same privilege I felt like when I was a kid, and I got to play those video games for 1 hour, is what I feel now whenever I get a letter of acceptance being like, "Hey, by the way, you got accepted for this tournament." And they let me know I got top 8. It still feels surreal to me. Like, it's not just me making it. It's all those people who never even met me, some of them, who just believe in me and, like, have seen me on commentary and see how much I love this game and love the people who hawk on stage. If you don't think I'm going to scream like a banshee when I see Blue God walk up, when I see Skill walk up, you're wrong, right? Like, watching these people grow means the world to me. And I'm just so thankful. So, I remember when I got my acceptance letter for Combo Breaker, I literally cried in my friend's room because I was staying with him for Texas Showdown. Texas Showdown was a whole entire event that I would love to. I'm going to probably recap in a different video. I'll talk about tournament experiences in a different video. And yeah, because that whole tournament was like, that is just too amazing to not talk about at some point. To bring it back to point, I cried with him. Like, he didn't cry. I cried. Thanks, Ty, by the way, for putting up with that when I got the letter. Because I always wanted to go to Combo Breaker, but I could go to Combo Breaker and I could cast at Combo Breaker, and my team was performing at Combo Breaker. What? Like, are you serious? Like, that was crazy. And then on top of that, I got CEO. And in CEO, I like, they even used my voice in their recap video. I'm like the first line that introduces the recap video. It's like, "What's going on? Welcome back to CEO 2019. Bam, you know your girl on that she. But, like, to have all that, right? Just to have all that. I want to talk more about them in depth. I do. So I'm going to make that a separate video because this is going to go on for way too long. Also going to talk about Evo at some point. But to have the people vouch for me as they did, TK Breezy, Ebonic Plague, just... Actually, even KP at Frosty, yeah. Like, people who cared about my craft, who weren't just the Calibur community, but people who are rising up as beacons in our communities as well. Not rising up, they're already established. Those guys, they got it going on for other games as well, right? But to be also loving Calibur and to support me and be like, hey, she should be on top 8. Hey, she should be in semifinals. And take that stance with people because they just didn't know who I was yet. I really appreciate that too. And when it came to Evo, the feeling of earning that and not having to have a man muscle arm it or tell people, hey, give my spot to her because she deserves this more than I do, but because they saw that I deserved this, that meant the world to me. It was like finally being able to stand on my own 2 feet and to have people realize that I care. I care a lot. I made a company based on this. I left my really strong other career for this. That I love each person in this community. And I honestly couldn't care less if you're online or not. Like, I would love to see you guys come out to offline events. That means a lot to me too. But I get it. Money's hard. I get it. I was in a situation where I could not go anywhere. I was in Nova Scotia. And my internet was clugging on for dear life. Okay, I get it. Like, I just want everyone to feel that warmth and that community that I felt this entire time. And I hope that me getting on the mic is able to share some of that with you. Where I'm able to share the passion, the backstories, and the amazing talent day in and day out that's a part of Calibur. And thank you so much for everything so far. And I will talk to you guys in the next video about each individual tournament. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Make sure to drink water, love yourself, and love the people around you. And I just want to say thank you so much again for making this such an incredible part of my life. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting me. I'll continue to support you as best as I can. Peace.